much more. Take us over 600 subscribers today. Quickly get there by going to tinyurl.com/Clemson Sports TV. Without further ado, Roddy Jones, SiriusXM, and the ACC Network joins us here again this week. Roddy, thanks for carving us into your schedule, man. I know you're a busy guy. As a matter of fact, last week I'm still kind of laughing about, hey, Swanny, I gotta go. I'm at security checkpoint. That was fantastic.
Well, the thing about that is, had it been planned better on time, I could have been through security when we talked. But of course, I was running late, so I was running up to security as we're doing the interview, and then when I got there, I would have stood outside of security for you if I wasn't going to miss my flight, which I thankfully made.
Look, I don't mind. As a matter of fact, it kind of made me feel important, Roddy. I'll tell you. I just was thinking, man, here's Roddy Jones in an airport, making his way to his next game, and he's on the phone with me, and somebody's going, this guy's important. This guy must be very important. Of course, you, not me, but yes, still nonetheless.
Crazy. I had my AirPods in, so they may have been thinking, this guy's crazy. Who in the world? Why is he talking like that?
Who's he talking to? All right, Roddy, look, Clemson's getting back after it. Friday night football up at Syracuse, a strange environment. You know, I don't know, as a former athlete, if you can chime in on this a little bit from the standpoint of the Carrier Dome, but from my perspective, playing basketball in a stadium like Littlejohn Coliseum, I always found it more difficult than playing in your normal, quote, high school gymnasium because of the roof and the feeling that the goals weren't quite 10 feet, just a depth perception issue, if you will. This environment is one that a lot of people talk about that. The sight lines are a little different. You're playing in an indoor stadium, which you're not accustomed to, but it's not necessarily as big as, say, the Superdome. What can you tell us as a former player about the Carrier Dome and what it could cause for Clemson coming into this matchup on Friday night?
Well, in terms of the environment, it is certainly one of the most unique in college football. I think Idaho is the other one that plays indoors, and no one, is going to play the Vandals on a regular basis. So this is really the only on-campus dome that you're going to play in. Now, Clemson has certainly played in them before. You mentioned the Superdome, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Those are places that Clemson's played, but those are big cavernous pro domes. Like, though, you walk in there and you feel like, all right, I'm playing in a stadium that I'm used to. It just has a top on it. You walk into the Carrier Dome and it feels like you're playing in an indoor practice facility with stands. Not because it's like tiny or because I'm comparing it to an indoor practice facility. It's just not one of these big cavernous domes. It's a quaint, sort of tight space that once upon a time did not have air conditioning. Now it is more climate controlled than it once was, so it doesn't get as hot as it used to. But as you said, things are different, and it's a different feel, and it's a different sound when they make a play. It's a different sound when you make a play. And while none of those things, by themselves, are going to make Clemson play poorly, all of that, if you're not focused, can lead to just a malaise, if you will. So that's what Clemson's going to have to fight. The good thing is they've gone up there. Did they go up there last year? I can't remember.
A couple of years ago, yeah.
Yeah, but they were up there a couple of years ago. So with some young guys, you're a little concerned about sort of the weirdness of it. But Clemson's in the division. They've got experience being there. It is still one of those weird places to play, especially on a Friday night. Like, that place always seems to get weird on Friday night.
Yeah, I think it's even stranger to watch the games there because the camera angle is so much lower than you're accustomed to that it almost feels like you're watching a track meet more so, or a tennis match more so than a college football game. You just can't get those same angles at the Carrier Dome. Roddy Jones joins us each and every week to preview the college football weekend ahead. And Roddy, we have to flash back just a little bit, though, because I don't know how you could talk college football this week and not focus a little bit on Texas A&M and their upset of the number one ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. I'm not saying that people expected Alabama to be invincible this year. As a matter of fact, I think most people preseason kind of circled this as the game that they might lose. But with a backup quarterback, the environment that was there in that ball game, I mean, just everything sort of came together for a Texas A&M team that was deathly in need of a W like that on their resume this season.
Yeah, it was huge for Texas A&M, and Zach Calzada, the quarterback that you're talking about, he kind of caught fire in this game. I mean, he didn't have an incompletion. He only had one incompletion until, I believe, the fourth quarter, Obviously had an interception in that as well, but he played extremely well. And then when Alabama blocks the punt at the beginning of the second half, you're thinking, okay, this is how Bama gets in. They're about to win by 2 touchdowns. But luckily for Texas A&M, Devon Achane gets a kickoff return and takes it back for a touchdown,
Right.
and they're right back in that thing. So I thought Texas A&M's ability to respond and to create plays, man, like they intercepted Bryce Young in the end zone. They returned the kickoff for a touchdown. There were so many things that you don't really see against Alabama. I cannot remember the last time I saw Alabama give up a kick return for a touchdown. I can't remember the last time an Alabama quarterback threw an interception in the end zone. So you credit them for what they were able to do. The big thing that people need to realize a little bit, though, before they start dancing on Alabama's grave, is that Alabama still got everything in front of them. Texas A&M already has 2 SEC losses. They're in the SEC championship game, and really nothing to worry about in terms of college football playoff. It was shocking, though, when the number 1 team goes down, especially to a team that is unranked, although I say unranked with an asterisk because that roster is still at least top 10, probably top 5 talent roster in the country.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. At this point in the year, Alabama's got some cachet in the bank, not only from this season, but from previous seasons. What was peculiar to me is, as much as their slight fall in the polls, was that there were still some pollsters out there with them ranked number 2 in the country. That kind of blew my mind. But you know what? I would say Nick Saban's earned that in a lot of respects, and I know a lot of our listeners won't love that.
Yeah, and there were some people that took some heat for doing that. I don't hate it, and here's why. Like, name me, 4 teams that are better than Alabama. I know they're 5th right now, but no one truly believes that there are 4 teams in the country better than Alabama. And so if you're going to vote that way on who's the best team, then I don't mind you putting Alabama at any place really, other than the number 1, because I think Georgia is the. Now, if you're going to vote like that, though, I better see Clemson in the top 25 too, because there are not 25 teams that are better than Clemson in the country. They're just not. Like the way that defense is playing, there's just not. Clemson, honestly, is about 20 turnovers away from being Iowa. If Clemson could turn the ball over or could get turnovers like Iowa does, then they'd probably be in Iowa's position because the offenses are similar in terms of their limitations. But overall, I think people took for it. I don't hate it, but be voting for a vote like that.
Roddy, I know a lot of people out there looking at the Atlantic Coast Conference this season are certainly disappointed. Clemson not living up to the expectations that were out there for them, but also North Carolina and the Tar Heels. Some people thought that would be a team that this year we would be talking about maybe competing in the ACC championship and possibly even being a team that would dethrone Clemson. What in the world is going on up in Chapel Hill in your estimation?
I think there's a couple of. We thought the people that were coming back were going to improve significantly, and they haven't, particularly on the defensive side of the football and the offensive line. Those 2 units have not gotten better. In the offensive line's case, they've gotten markedly worse than they were a year ago. Secondly, I think I will say people as a whole underestimated how difficult it was going to be to replace the skill position players that they lost. And that was one of those things that, we talked before the season. Like, I continually tried to caution people on, like, the stuff they're replacing is not just easy to replace for any team, particularly a team that doesn't have a track record of just replacing that type of production. If it were Alabama, sure, like, roll in the next guy, let's go. But even a team like Clemson, to some extent, usually changes a little bit. Like that, the production doesn't just get replaced all of a sudden, because things change in the way dynamics are, things change in strengths, and even if a player is good, it doesn't mean he's good in the same way. So a lot of times it's difficult to replace those guys. And while the units typically are still good, like Clemson on a normal basis, like the offensive unit still remains good, it does change in the way it looks. North Carolina didn't have the track record of proving that. And so I think there was an overestimation on the talent that they had and how easily it would be to replace Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, and then the 2 receivers, Daz Newsome and De'Ami Brown. So I think both of those things put together get a team that got off to a rough start. And then mentally, I don't know where they are mentally, to be honest with you. They don't play well after they win. They tend to play well after they lose. So we'll see what comes out there this week against Miami.
Yeah, 3. Roddy Jones from Siriusxm and the ACC Network. He's on Twitter at Roddy Jones 20. So right now, I know for years the Coastal Division, people have talked about this wheel of destiny and just kind of guessing who's going to be there. It feels like watching this Pitt offense that they've got a great chance of making a run and being in the ACC championship. They'll get Clemson next Saturday, and they're scoring over 50 points a ball game. And again, that's not exactly what you are accustomed to seeing from a Pat Narduzzi coach team. But as we kind of mentioned, you brought it up last week, they've been playing really good football.
Yeah, they have. And look, this it's not something that we're typically used to seeing, but this is not the first time Pat Narduzzi's had the best offense in the ACC. Think back to the year where Matt Canada was the offensive coordinator, and you had Nathan Peterman and James Conner and Quadri Allison and Jester Weah. Like, that was the best offense. I actually think Clemson was the best offense that year, but that was one of the best offenses.
They beat Clemson
in the ACC that year. Did they beat Clemson that year? Was that the year they beat Clemson?
Yeah, 43-42.
Yeah, I mean, look, that offense was a great offense. So it's not something that we haven't seen before from Pitt. It's just something that they've sort of been working towards. And the formula there is having an experienced quarterback and experienced pieces around, which is what they have. And great talent, because that team was really talented as well. Even though I believe it was the year after they lost Tyler Boyd, who led the world in receptions. So the fact that Pitt is really good on offense is not all that surprising to me, because we had them last year a number of times. You saw how good Kenny Pickett was. And the only reason he wasn't getting the national due was, number one, the way the season ended for them. He got hurt. He wasn't as sharp, especially running the football down the stretch. But number two, because his touchdown numbers just weren't there. Like, the career high in touchdown passes he had before coming into this season was 13. I think he's got like 19 already with one interception. Like, the dude's playing unreal. So I know that's down the line, but the thing is with Pitt's offense, it's even against the Clemson defense, like, you feel like that Pitt offense is going to be able to put up 30 to 35. The question is, do you feel like Clemson can do the same? I think we'll find out the answer to that this weekend against Syracuse.
If you can believe it, Kenny Pickett was also the quarterback in Pitt's loss to Clemson in the ACC championship. Poor performance in that one for him. 14-16 for 8 yards with an interception. You think he won't have a little revenge on his mind coming up next Saturday? Oh, man, you know he will, given the way they've been playing. Now, the other interesting thing, Roddy, I want to ask you about in the league right now is, like, from the perspective of the Clemson, the person who covers Clemson and the Clemson fanatic, whatever, that I'm typically talking to, it feels like NC State, right, is in the driver's seat in the Atlantic Division, but they're only 1-0 in the league. I mean, Wake Forest is out there at 4-0 right now. Those two still have to play, and then ultimately Wake Forest has to play Clemson, all that. You know how that's going to shake out. But, I mean, who do you think is in control right now in the Atlantic?
He's got the wheel, man. Who knows? Honestly, like, so it's easy to say it's Wake Forest because they are 4-0, and obviously you have 4 wins in the league, and sure, you have control, but they haven't beaten any of the teams that we feel like are going to be in the race. So from that perspective, while they have the most wins, they haven't beaten NC State, they haven't beaten Clemson, they've beaten Louisville, who I guess would be the other one, but the two that are out there, they haven't beaten. The reason NC State feels like they're in control is because they've got one of those wins, and honestly, they've got the most coveted of those wins, which is the win over Clemson. So look, Wake Forest can take control if they beat NC State. If you can get through, I'm not saying they have to beat Clemson. I don't think they have to beat Clemson to make the ACC championship game, but you have to beat NC State to ensure that at least you have one up on the person that has one up on Clemson. If they were to go and beat Clemson and lose to NC State, then NC State's got the tiebreaker against both of those teams. And by the end of the season, we very well could be looking at a tie where you have NC State with 2 ACC losses, you have Wake Forest with 2 ACC losses, and you have Clemson with 2 ACC losses. And so those tiebreakers will come into it. Or they could all have one loss, honestly. So we'll see as it comes down the line. But the way for Wake to take control is to beat NC State. I think the favorite, personally, to make it to the ACC championship game is probably still Clemson.
Wow.
Just because, like, you look at the game at the end of the year for NC State against North Carolina, and who in the world knows what kind of performance you're going to get from the Tar Heels then. They play great. They can make it really tough on you. They've got Wake Forest down the line. NC State still hasn't played Syracuse. They still haven't played Florida State, 2 teams that are figuring out their identities and that are going to be dangerous. So, I just don't see NC State getting through the league unscathed. Best case scenario, they end up with one loss, but having to play the teams they still have to play, I wouldn't be shocked if they ended up with 2. I really wouldn't.
I guarantee you, everybody that's listening to this show would be excited to have them fall at least once at this point, if not twice over the next couple of weeks. That would really open up things for the Tigers. Final couple of things for you, Roddy. Again, Clemson and Syracuse playing on Friday night. That's part of the deal. I don't love it, but it is what it is. I don't know if we'll ever see Clemson play a home game on a Friday night, but they're going on the road to the Carrier Dome. You already kind of told us about the environment. I personally love the head coach at Syracuse, Dino Babers. He's one of my favorite guys to be around in this league. Military background with his father. I know he's fallen on some tough times in recent years up there at Syracuse, especially last season with just one victory. But in terms of what he can get out of his team, I truly believe, Roddy, that this guy gets about every ounce out of his ball club as anybody in the conference. What do you think about Dino Babers as a coach and a man?
I think he is that he's the military background, his groundedness in faith, the leadership that he's shown in a couple of the situations that we've had over the last few years, I think has been admirable. As a coach, I think that he was excellent in building a program there that got to the level that they were in 2018. But you have to sort of look at what happened in 19 and 20 and ask, how did you fall asleep at the wheel a little bit? Because, I mean, for them to go to as high as they were that year, and then the next year they don't have any offensive linemen. They're starting an offensive guard starting a fullback at guard. They can't find a quarterback. Like the offense isn't what it was supposed to be. And then the next year was kind of the same thing. Both 19 and 20 were kind of the same deal where they're just situational football, where they're poorly coached. There's coaching decisions where they're not making the right decision. If it hasn't been, like, honestly, they could be 5-1 right now if it weren't for coaching decisions. You can point to about 5 of them in that Wake Forest game where you're like, man, what are you doing? The 2-point conversion where there's confusion and they don't get it off. They have to take a delay of game when, any coach in the country knows if you're going for it after a touchdown, you got to hold up that 2 fingers right away to let your offense know, get back on the field so we can call this thing. It was just a fire drill. And then the decision to accept the holding penalty that would have forced they would have had a 51-yard field goal. They accept the holding penalty to make it 3rd and 23 or whatever. They rush 3. Sam Hartman gets the first down, and that ends up in a touchdown for Wake Forest. I mean, I know Nick Skiba's perfect on the year, but it's a 51-yard field goal for a college kicker. Like, you make him kick that. So there's just a couple of coaching decisions down the line over the past few years that you've gone, man, what are you thinking? But overall, like, as a person and the level that he raised that program to in 18, you have to take your hat off to. I'm just scratching my head with a few things the last few years.
Yeah, I think he's probably feeling the pressure to succeed, obviously, as everybody is. But, man, I don't know. There's not many better coaches in terms of people in this league. Just I'm kind of with you. Like I said earlier in the week, I hate to see this program where they are right now because I really appreciate him as a coach. And he's on one. I think he's got like the 5th hottest seat in the country if you kind of keep up with those types of things. Roddy, man, best of luck to you this week. Where are you? What game do you call him?
So I've got Navy at Memphis on Thursday, and then Miami at North Carolina on Saturday. The preseason ACC Coastal Championship game is now the 3:30 game on ACC Network.
That's right. Yes, let's go, man. Always good to catch up with you, Roddy. Have a great week, and we look forward to talking to you next week, my man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Same to you, Lon.
Roddy Jones here on the show that shakes the Southland. Stay with us.
Now, Columbia's most dependable track, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A look at traffic shows a wreck on Garner's Ferry at John Elmore. Also an accident, St. Thomas Church at Wessinger. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Circle K. Sip and save at Circle K. With their new drink subscription, enjoy 1 coffee or fountain drink every day for only $5.99 a month. Sign up in store. Circle K. Take it easy.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury or death.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, you need to call the Law Firm of Samuels I go to work getting you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on. We have the experience and passion you need when you need it most.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 779-4000.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
The IRS is ramping up collection, and if you owe back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, listen carefully. Before it's too late, check your eligibility for the Fresh Start program still offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax problems. Call our special hotline number now and find out in minutes if you qualify for these life-changing debt reduction programs. Business or personal, if you're in a payment plan with no end in sight, have unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to know your options, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief and stop collections immediately. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau with a 5-star rating from Yelp, this veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. Call their hotline number now, 800-781-3626. That's 800-781-3626. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-781-3626 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
We need you to help the Federation Center of the Blind continue its life-changing mission of opening more doors to blind South Carolinians. Please call us at 803-254-3777 or email nfbsc@sc.rr.com to see how you can volunteer or make a donation. Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show now at 978-1832 or text 803-450-0086.
Rocking and rolling with you on a Wednesday afternoon, the show that shakes the Southland Clemson Sports Talk. So I've been doing something that I don't do a whole lot for some reason, and that's watching early postseason baseball. I don't know what it is for, I actually have a second television right now that's in front of my TV at night. And so I'm really not, I don't have it on, like occupying my time. And I kind of wish that I had thought to do this years ago, but I've got the second TV that I typically have on college football, and I'm just putting it on baseball. And if I'm watching something else, I'm kind of keeping baseball on and keeping my eyeballs on it. But one of my takeaways just from watching Major League Baseball reiterates something, and fortunately in baseball, it's less prevalent than it is in the other major sports. But I got to admit, as a consumer of the sports genre, I have just become more and more frustrated with the fact that we actually have replay. I mean, I really am frustrated by the fact that we have replay. And I know there were years where you'd have a play, bang, bang play. The officials would make the wrong call, and there was no way to correct it outside of them talking through it and making an adjustment on the fly, which may or may not be correct. But if there's anything that I have learned through my years of hosting this show, watching sports, and being a consumer of sports, is that it is okay to have some human error. And I really think that we've got to get away from reviewing every single thing, whether that's touchdowns and turnovers in the NFL and college football and things of that nature, or at least change the way it is done at the collegiate level in football, because it's just overkill at times. And I'm watching these replays on Major League Baseball, and I thought, what a terrible thing for a sport that for so many years didn't have it. And I'm sure that if your favorite team had a call benefit them that got flip-flopped, you are like, yeah, that thing works for me. But the reality is, when it's all said and done, the calls that get reversed and corrected are probably going to equal out along the way to the calls that were called wrong and weren't reversed, and then vice versa for the opponent. Like, it's almost a 6-1, half dozen the other scenario, in my opinion. And you'll say to me, well, Swanny, then why shouldn't we have it if it's going to give us the same results? I would say pace of play, slowing the game down. Again, let's say that they get called on the field 75% of the plays right. That leaves 25% that they get wrong. Then there's a portion of those that are still kept wrong and not fixed or corrected. And then you get the converse, right? Where your opponent gets their plays corrected and a certain portion of them that should have been corrected aren't, etc. And maybe even some that were corrected shouldn't have been. So to me, what we have kind of done to these sports is micro managed and nuanced them down to the split second. And I don't think that's necessary for sports. And I'll take it back to my old college basketball argument. Nothing like a late game scenario in college basketball where the ball goes out of bounds and they go over there and spend 3 minutes deciding, did it go out at 12.8 or 12.6? Yeah, I get it. That's 0.2 of a second. That might be a big deal in this ball game. But what about the other 47 times the ball went out of bounds and we didn't go back and look to see what 1/10 of a second it would have been on? I mean, wouldn't those 1/10 of a second add up to be maybe even a minute? I mean, so to me, those are things that we just don't have to do. And when I'm watching Major League Baseball and I think about the purity of that sport, bang, bang plays at the plate, bang, bang plays at second base, I just feel like there's something great about having some human error. Now, where we could change this, and I think the onus on this change comes down to a couple of things. And most importantly, it comes down to the sports networks to not replay those bang bang plays. If we eliminate the replay from the sport, you can still replay plays that are clear, plays that don't require any review, but don't replay something that is clearly a bang bang play. Just say, hey, look, we're leaving it up to the judgment call. Here it is at real time. Boom. Done. When you get down to the millisecond, as I said, when Ohio State fans were questioning whether or not Justin Ross made a catch in the Fiesta Bowl a couple of years ago, I can freeze frame any football in the hand of a wide receiver to make it look like a catch. But the matter of fact comes down to, what does it look like in real time? And I got to say, in sports, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, soccer, I honestly think I prefer a little human error. And I understand that as a part of being a sports fan, that means that my favorite team might get hosed every once in a while by a bad call. But nothing currently stops those officials in New York City or wherever they're sending these things from also making a mistake or a bad call currently. And that to me is indifferent. It's indifferent. And so I don't need to see that. And I don't need it holding up the pace of play. One area where I also think at this point we're using replay, which may or may not be beneficial, and I wouldn't mind if you kept it if you were going to keep any replay, is with targeting in college football. One thing I would change is this, though. Malicious intent. Malicious intent. You want to replay it and call it a targeting foul and get it wrong, and I think you're wrong, great. That's fine. But then add an add on to that objectivity of, was there malicious intent? I mean, do you honestly believe James Skalski, was that malicious intent? Was Trenton Simpson's hit against the Georgia Tech quarterback malicious intent? No, of course not. And so with all of that being said, I think that watching Major League Baseball to me recently in the postseason has awakened my spirit for the elimination of review and instant replay from games. I just don't think it's necessary. I think we should learn to live with human error, and it is what it is. Let me know what you think. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line again, the show that shakes the Southland on a Wednesday afternoon. Again, our website, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. That's right, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. You can also get there by going to ClemsonRadio.com as well. Stay with us.
Lawton Swan here, and I know in sports we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg.
Are you thinking about refinancing your home, but worried that closing costs could cancel out any money you'd save? Not with Cap Center's zero closing cost mortgages.
This is our 6th time using Cap Center. The quality of service was excellent, and the savings were substantial.
Cap your closing costs. Visit capcenter.com. Equal housing lender. Visit capcenter.com for rates, savings, and offer limitations. This ad contains real client feedback voiced by actors. NMLS ID 67717. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
How do you take your pregame up a notch? Book former Carolina player Bill Gauze and his son Will at Billy G's Carolina Barbecue to cater your event. Nominated Best Caterer in Columbia, Billy G's Carolina Barbecue brings their A game. Barbecue, oyster roast, wedding receptions, corporate events, and of course, tailgate parties. And they have a food truck for those special events. Call 256-2694 to book your next event. That's 256-2694. Billy G's Carolina Barbecue, South Carolina's #1 team for barbecue.
Now the forecast from the Red Shirt Guys Roofing. TheRedShirtGuys.com.
Sunshine for the remainder of the day. We'll see a high about 84 for this first day of the fair. Tonight, mainly clear skies, overnight lows, low 60s. Thursday, tad bit warmer, mostly sunny. High tomorrow, 86.
This report is sponsored by DEA Takeback Day, October 23rd. DEATakeback.com.
Help DEA keep our community safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Takeback Day, October 23rd. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent drug misuse before it starts.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I could really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Monday, make sure your hands are free, because you're going to need them to win $1,000.
Awesome! Thank you so much!
At least 12 times a day, weekdays.
Oh my God!
Win $1,000 in your hand.
We've got 12 chances a day to win $1,000 on Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Again, it is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk, Lawton Swan with you on a Wednesday afternoon. Saw an interesting tweet earlier today, or I guess maybe yesterday evening, about the AP polls. And it came to us from our buddy Brett Ciancia over at Pick Six Previews. Get this. We talked about Alabama and where the Crimson Tide held in the top 5 and weren't overly, quote, penalized for losing to an unranked Texas A&M team. And again, they've got some cachet in their resume so far, not overly substantial cachet, I think anybody would say, but maybe more than some. But there were 4 AP voters that dropped Alabama only 1 spot after that loss. They dropped them from number 1 to number 2 after losing to an unranked Texas A&M team that lost to Mississippi State, Arkansas, and almost lost to Colorado. And again, it was their backup quarterback that led them to the W over the Crimson Tide. And I've got to agree with what Brett Ciancia said. If game results don't matter, why even play the game? And I think it's a fair point. I mean, look, do you believe that Alabama should have stayed number 1? Of course not. Who would think such a thing? But to believe that they are still number 2, to me, is equally as ridiculous. As good as they've been, as much as you might think about them, and even believe that they might get back into the college football playoff and ultimately win the whole shebang and be the greatest team in the country in 2021. When you get beat by an unranked team, that is an unranked team. I mean, Texas A&M was not unranked last weekend for that matchup with Alabama just by happenstance. They earned that drop in the poll, and because they were out of the top 25, Alabama should be dubbed as defeated by a team outside the top 25. Because if you reverse it and have a team that wasn't in the top 25 at the beginning of the season and have someone beat them, and that team works their way up into the top 25, in the top 15, even the top 10, we don't give them the same amount of credit for beating that team that we've afforded Alabama in this moment by the fact that they've lost to a team outside of the top 25. You would say, well, that I'm going to just pick a team out of the blue here. That Michigan State team was playing much better at the end of the season than they were when they faced off with Team X at the beginning of the year. I mean, that's what you would say. Well, but A&M, it's the middle of the year. They had proven to be a team outside the top 25. They had a backup quarterback, and they came away with a victory. And 4 AP pollsters decided to keep Alabama at number 2. Let me tell you, or only drop them to number 2. So let me tell you who those AP pollsters are, if you're interested. Aaron McMahon, not like Mr. McMahon, that's MANN, who covers Michigan and Central Michigan, dropped Alabama a singular spot to number 2. J.E. Pope IV, who covers the Wolfpack for the Raleigh News and Observer, dropped Alabama from number 1 to number 2. You also had A.J. Don Williams from the Lubbock Avalanche Journal, who covers Texas Tech, drop Alabama a singular spot. And Nate Mink, who we've had on this program, who covers the Syracuse Orange, dropped Alabama just 1 spot from number 1 to number 2. Look, and there were several others, at least 3, maybe 4 others who only dropped Alabama to number 3. And then the worst, by the way, if you want to know like who penalized the Crimson Tide the most, well, tip your cap to Ron Counts from the Idaho Statesman, whose top 10 looks like this: Georgia 1, Oklahoma 2, Iowa 3, Cincinnati's 4, Ohio State slides in at number 5, Michigan 6, Kentucky is 7th, Michigan State 8th, Oklahoma State, 9th, Oregon is 10th, Notre Dame is 11th, the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina 12th in his poll, 13th Wake Forest, Penn State 14th, Texas A&M 15th, and Alabama 16th. That's the furthest that the Crimson Tide dropped in the poll, all the way back to number 16. Shout out to you, Ron Counts, because if I'm going to give grief to those that only dropped the Crimson Tide 1, I mean, heck, Nate, Don, who else did I say? AJ, Don, Jonas, and Aaron. Why not just keep Alabama at number 1? I mean, my goodness. One spot, those teams moved. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. By the way, if you are interested in who has your Clemson Tigers ranked the highest, I mean, I don't know, perhaps you want to send them some sort of care package or say thank you for believing in us when nobody else does. You got to go to number 15 in the polls, and that is Dylan Sin out of the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette, who covers the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He's got Clemson sitting there at number 15, ahead of the likes of BYU, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Arizona State, Notre Dame, Wake Forest. Like, I don't think there's any question, just in terms of the talent that Clemson has, that they should beat all of those teams that are behind them. And I like to think at least, that Dylan Sin is looking at it that same way at this point. By the way, Dylan dropped Alabama all the way back to number 8 in his poll. 803-450-0086. It is the show that shakes the Southland. Coming up in just a little bit, hopefully we're going to be catching up with our buddy Brett Ciancia from Pick 6 Previews. I mean, his tweet got us here, so we'll see if we can't catch up with him and talk to him a little bit about the polls and the fact that 4 pollsters only punished the Crimson Tide for 1 single spot back to number 2. I mean, that's just crazy, y'all. That's crazy. Again, our website, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Would love to have you join us. Just $63.17 for you to be a part of the program, or a part of our website for a year. We'd love to have your support as we continue to grow. Again, we hit a quick break. We'll come back with more of the show that shakes the Southland right after this.
Radio advertising can connect your business with holiday shoppers wherever they go. Use iHeart Ad Builder to create an affordable custom radio ad right on your phone. Just click, listen, approve, then hear it on the radio. Create your customized ad today at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
Many of us take our mobility and independence for granted until we start aging and losing that ability. If you have an aging parent, spouse, or loved one facing mobility issues, the challenges that come both physically and emotionally can be overwhelming. All Medical is here to help. All Medical has helped people with mobility issues for nearly 30 years, and their track record speaks for itself. You can read dozens of reviews at allmedicalinc.com, like this one from Sid in Columbia.
I've been in a wheelchair since I was 17 years old. I've been blessed to be independent. I've had a career, family. Bill Hayes and All Medical have met all my needs. I've purchased 7 wheelchairs from him. They are truly compassionate and caring people. I've been able to count on All Medical and Bill Hayes and his crew, and you can too.
Whether it's grab bars, ramps, a wheelchair, home elevator, or more, All Medical can make life at home easier. Call 803-779-2011, visit their showroom next to Brooklyn Baptist Church, or online at allmedicalinc.com. That's allmedicalinc.com. Quality of life is what they're all about.
Group training is a fun, accountable way to get in shape. I'm Coach Stewart of Dynamic Health and Fitness. Come train with one of our special groups today. We will focus on giving you the support you need to get in shape. We use the Dynamic Mob, featuring intervals of cardio, functional training, and strength training to change your lifestyle to make you healthy. Get started today at any of our locations in Lexington or West Columbia, or call 803-408-4060 or online at dynamichealthclub.com.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
I'm Colleen Wolfe from Thursday Night Football and Good Morning Football Weekend.
And I'm Ricky Hollywood from Around the NFL and the broadcast.
On our new podcast, Split Ends, Ricky and I will be coming to you every week to talk about all the important and unimportant storylines in the football world.
Join us for the stories on and off the field that matter. We'll break down games, news stories, tweets, interviews, whatever it takes to cover the ins and outs of the NFL world.
Listen to Split Ends on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Cutting-edge Braille instruction, both in-house and virtual computer training, educational workshops, job coaching. These are just some of the critical services offered by the Federation Center of the Blind, which is affiliated with the National Federation of the Blind of South Carolina. This year, we're observing our 60th anniversary. We invite you to join us by calling 803-254-3777 or emailing nfbsc@sc.rr.com.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
Final segment of our number one. Still hoping to catch up with our buddy Brett Ciancia. Again, thank you to Roddy Jones for making it in today. Not in the airport like he was last week, but good to catch up with Roddy. And I hope you've enjoyed some of the additional guests we've been having here on the program. Double O checking out the program. He says, Swanny, I told you or Rob Sanders before the season that Texas A&M would defeat Alabama. Boom. Great show. Keep up the good work, my superhero. Appreciate it, brother. He says, will Clemson get their stuff together and start kicking some tail, or are they going to remain average this weekend? Yeah, Friday night's game at Syracuse. Woo, man. You know, when's the last time you felt this much, not nervousness about Clemson, but just sheer concern about explosive plays and the ability to move the ball down the field in big chunks? I mean, that's been a staple of Clemson's program, almost going back to when Chad Morris arrived. I mean, honestly, and then through Deshaun Watson and his tenure, Kelly Bryant's tenure, there were still a lot of big plays, and Big Trev, the Giant Killer, man, he'd put up a big play in a mighty big hurry. Well, here you sit as Clemson Tiger faithful who believed coming into the season, and rightfully so, that this team was going to be one of the top 4 programs in the country again and right back in the college football playoff. Partially because of the schedule. Like, it felt like, okay, if Clemson loses to Georgia, they're still good enough to beat everybody else on their resume or on the calendar the rest of the way. But then NC State and overtime and a putrid offensive performance, especially with the ability to have chunk plays, has crept up on Clemson not once, not twice, but 3 times this season. Actually 4, right? I mean, that's the way it's been. 4 out of the 5 ball games. And again, even against SC State, Clemson didn't look like Clemson. Like, Clemson did not look like Clemson. I'm sure it's how Darth Vader felt when he sees the stormtroopers in action. Like, you guys don't look like the way you look when we're preparing for battle. You guys can't hit a shot. Clemson football is essentially the Stormtroopers at this point. Nothing that they do is really working out. And where do we begin to fix it? I said late last week, it comes down to DJ Uiagalelei and the 6 inches between his ears. And I believe that that will continue to be the case for Clemson. Forget the offensive line. Forget the wideouts dropping. Forget the tight ends with cold hands. Forget the running backs' inability to make big plays. It all comes down to DJ Uiagalelei and his willingness to put himself on the line. I mean, at some point, you got to say, I'm going to be the quarterback of one of the top teams in the country. And I'm going to play like a quarterback for one of the top teams in the country. And I don't give a rip if my offensive line has some holes, has a little leak here and there. You know what you do if you got a leaky roof in your house? Well, I mean, outside of calling some of our sponsors in the past who do that type of work, like the red shirt guys, what you could do is just put a bucket there. You got to be willing to make a change. You can go up on the roof and try to patch and repair it yourself. DJ at some point has got to decide that, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this happen. And I'm going to forget about the possibility of making mistakes, and I'm just going to play this little game called football. And I think if DJ will do that, I think you'll see this Clemson Tiger offense come alive. I think there will be confidence on the offensive line. I think there will be confidence from the wide receivers. But I think everybody feeds off of him. I mean, if the boss walks into the room before a big, crucial meeting and he's shaky and sweaty and looks like he doesn't know come here from Sikkim, then all of a sudden you got to ask yourself, man, are we gonna meet the standard? Are we gonna meet the standard that's necessary to have a successful meeting with this big corporation that we're about to sit down with? Or are we gonna look like Sweaty McDrippingstein over here who can't figure out what's going on? And if you think your boss doesn't know what's going on, you're certainly not going to feel good about things when it comes your time to make the big slide presentation or to give your piece. Maybe that's what's going on with Clemson right now. Yeah, there are issues around DJ, but with DJ being as shaky as he's looked and felt, they probably can read that and feel it. So we'll see about what Clemson looks like. I have said, and I will continue to say, I think they're one big game away from figuring this out and being explosive. I know some people disagree with that. I still believe that they are one big game away from settling in. From an unnamed texter from the state of North Carolina, he says, Swanny, 2 points of interest. First, there's no way, and you know where, I'm assuming in a microwave, there's not a snowball's chance in a microwave that DJ should be the starting quarterback over the guy whose season we just wasted playing receiver and returning punts, Will Taylor. This unnamed texter went on to say, it's clear as day who's the best athlete. He also says, number 2, and this was a little bit confusing, but I'll do my best with it. He says, Will Shipley doesn't look the part compared with other freshman running back that played the last game, of course, that being Phil Maffa. He said, Dabo Swinney played favoritism this season. I've played, coached, and watched enough football to see this. That comes to us from an unnamed texter in the state of North Carolina. So hit us up with your name, texter, if that was yours. That's good stuff. You just sent us, and I want to make sure that I recognize you appropriately henceforth here on the show that shakes the Southland. All right, still hoping to get hooked up with Brett Cianci again. It was his tweet that he put out yesterday about the AP poll. At least it was retweeted yesterday. I don't know when it came across my feed, but nonetheless, to get your thoughts on that. Plus, how about this? A former Clemson Tiger assistant coach is now a interim head coach in the NFL, given the John Gruden situation. We'll talk about that coming up here on the program in just a little bit as well. 8:03 and much more of that with Tim Beret tomorrow here on the show that shakes the Southland. 803-450-0086. 803-450-0086. Always appreciate each and every one of you being a part of the program. Again, like, share, and subscribe. And go over to our YouTube page. Help us cross over that 600 subscriber barrier. We've been sitting on it for a while. Would love to get over that as we push towards 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Stay with us for more of the show that shakes the Southland.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports, Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Look out for a wreck on Broad River at Bakersfield. Also an accident, Fernandina at St. Andrews. If you're stuck, use the 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer. Football, music festivals, finding the perfect costume. It's going to be an autumn to remember. It may also be a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
The world is upside down and millions of Americans are out of work. Debt keeps rising, and yet taxes and interest rates are at historically low levels. What's going to happen next? Oh, I don't know. Space monkeys could arrive. Times like these, it is important to do your homework and be prepared, especially if you're near retirement. Hi, it's Glenn Beck. This is not the time to go it alone and hope for the best. I want you to call Pat Struby today and find out what he can do for you right now. Do what other families just like yours have done for over 20 years. Call the team at Preservation Specialist. Call 803-9-RETIRE and schedule a complimentary phone or video consultation. Pat Struby and his team at Preservation Specialist are local and independent. Their focus is you and your retirement. So call 803-9-RETIRE. Schedule a complimentary consultation and be prepared for your retirement years. 803-9-RETIRE.
Glenn Beck has been remunerated and is not a client. Investment advisory services offered through Kalos Capital Inc. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Guys, now there's no excuse. Peak Performance for Men has helped thousands of men overcome erectile dysfunction. The question is, what are you waiting for? Live the life you want today with a free consultation. No medication, no pumps, no needles, no pain, no surgery, and absolutely no downtime. Just non-invasive acoustic wave therapy that will have you back to your natural form. That's right. Now for a limited time, a free consultation. There is no risk. Fix it for good with one phone call. Call the Columbia office today at 803-302-8181 or find them at peakperformanceformen.com. Why wait? Enjoy your life to the fullest. Peak can make the difference. Call 803-302-8181 and get your free consultation now. That's 803-302-8181. Peak Performance for Men.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it. You hear it every time you finish a meal and never feel anything. But if we were able to associate this sound with a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural response from you. Save the food. Why are we doing this, you may ask? Save the food. Because this ad is trying to change your after-meal behavior through brainwashing. Because food waste costs the average family $1,500 a year. Save the food, cha-ching, and $1,500 extra bucks is like getting a pay raise. Save the food, cha-ching, you're promoted, which could pay for your child's braces. Save the food, cha-ching, you're promoted.
Check out my braces.
So when you hear this sound, rethink your behavior. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
My husband had a gun. Him and his friends would go shooting. The ammunition, unfortunately, was not stored separately. In a million years, we never thought that Emily could. There's a hole in our family that can never, ever be filled.
63 Americans a day die by gun suicide. With safe gun storage, we can give our loved ones a second chance at life. Learn more at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad.
WCOS Columbia, Fox Sports Radio 1400, an iHeart radio station available everywhere on our free iHeart Radio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Just call me Swanny.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
is hour number 2. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk Lawton Swan with you again on a Wednesday afternoon. Could I get hooked up with Brett Cianci? I believe he'll be on with us tomorrow. Also, Tim Beret going to be a part of the program tomorrow. Looking forward to both of those guys coming on the program to talk a little bit about your Clemson Tigers. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. 803-450-0086. So, again, you can be a part of the program anytime, any place, anywhere. You know, we've talked a good bit about the college football season, obviously, but after this past weekend, you know, where do things stand as far as the playoff predictor? Like, who are the teams that are expected to be in there at the end of the regular season? And, you know, the thing about it, and I said this, 2 weeks ago, the fly in the ointment, I think at this point for everybody is Cincinnati. And, again, I don't think Jamie Chadwell and the guys down at Coastal Carolina are ever going to get the same level of respect that Cincinnati's picked up during the 2021 calendar year. But right now, if you look at it, who are the teams that have the greatest chances to make the college football playoff? Georgia checks in at number 1 with a 91% chance at this point of making the college football playoff. Oklahoma has a 59% chance of making the college football playoff. Now, think about this for a second here. Georgia at 91%, and that includes a potential matchup with Alabama in the SEC championship game. So essentially what you are reading there is, barring the wheels falling off in Athens, Georgia's going to be in the playoffs. Just get to the SEC championship and participate. Show up. You don't have to win it. All you got to do is be there, and it pretty much feels like ESPN's playoff predictor would have the Bulldogs in. But then that stark drop-off all the way down, 32% as a matter of fact, to the next closest team in Oklahoma, who is at 6-0. Now, Alabama, the Crimson Tide, check in at 54% chance of making the college football playoff. And then Cincinnati at 45%. So those are, sorry about that. Hit the old microphone. Those are the top 4 teams right now, according to ESPN's playoff predictor as it is today. Now, you can also go in and make changes and make predictions about what happens to the teams to adjust those numbers. And incredibly, your Clemson Tigers are still very much in the conversation, at least when it comes down to the playoffs. By comparison, Michigan checks in at number 5. They're undefeated with 40%. Ohio State checks in at number 6 with 51%. Iowa checks in at 7th, most likely to get there, with a 25% chance. Michigan State checks in with a 9% chance at 8th. And Pitt, incredibly, out of the ACC at 4-1, checks in with a 7% chance. Behind them, Notre Dame with a 6% chance. Penn State with a 5% chance. And your Clemson Tigers at 3-2 with a 5% chance of making the college football playoff. Behind the Tigers, you might be interested, Oregon at 4-1, Texas at 4-2, and the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers at 4-2. Now, if you do predict or pick Clemson in the playoff predictor to see what would have to happen, your choices are, how does Clemson finish the remaining games in the regular season? If you say they win out, okay? If you say Clemson wins out, does Clemson win a conference championship? If you say yes, they win the conference championship. Clemson's chances at that point of making the college football playoff, wait for it, go up to 40%, according to ESPN's playoff predictor, with a 5% chance of winning the national championship. Now, obviously, that's Clemson simply controlling their own destiny. And yet, ESPN's playoff predictor would put Clemson's chances, if they win out, at 40%. So what that says to me is that there is significant value for Clemson in beating Pitt. Not once, but maybe even twice. And if you have Pitt getting out of Clemson's way per se, but maybe becoming a team that the Tigers hit twice, then I wonder what that would end up doing, on the back end. And you cannot look at all of those scenarios. By the way, for Alabama, who is already at one loss, if you give them another loss at some point, say to Auburn in the Iron Bowl, let's have an upset special in a game like that, have Alabama not win their conference championship, their chances of getting into the playoffs would still be at 14%. So, again, a lot of fun, this college football playoff predictor, but I think for any Clemson Tiger fans, kind of trying to figure out where you are, it is certainly still very impressive that if you went out, ESPN's college football playoff predictor would still have Clemson sitting in a pretty decent spot when it comes down to the college football playoff. As a matter of fact, let's see. So Clemson winning out is 40%. Currently, an undefeated Cincinnati Bearcat team is only at 45%. So does Cincinnati finish their run? If they win out, win the rest of their games, win their conference title, according to ESPN's playoff predictor, Cincinnati has a 90% chance of making the college football playoff. But if they win out and lose their conference championship game, their chances of making it dwindle just to 6%. And I think most people would say at that point, sorry, Cincinnati, thanks for playing. It's been fun having you be in the conversation, but you got to exit stage left because we're done. We are done with you at this point. But for Clemson Tiger fans, I got to tell you, just going undefeated the rest of the way and winning the ACC championship might still feel a little bit like a reach. And again, a playoff predictor is not an actual playoff projection. But it's hard not to think to yourself, my goodness, how fortunate are you, Tiger Nation, that you could be in this situation where you haven't played well. You've got 2 losses. But yet, if you win out, you still have nearly a 50% chance. I mean, I understand that 40 is not 50%. I get it. But it's close. Close enough for me. Roughly a 50% chance to get in to the college football playoff. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line 803-450-0086. Again, that is all from ESPN's playoff predictor, and a really cool tool where you go in and you select what the scenarios are. I kind of wish they allowed you to extrapolate it out a little bit more. Like, I kind of wish you could say, all right, I want Alabama to win out. I want Georgia to lose this game and that game, and then give me the idea of what it will look like. But with all that kind of out there on the table, I have to tell you, this is a really neat little program, I guess you'd say, that they've got available. As a matter of fact, let's see. So Clemson at currently 3-2, winning out is 40%. What if we just have Michigan? What if we have Michigan just lose one game? They have one loss in the regular season. They don't play in the Big Ten championship. Let's have them lose to Ohio State. Let's have them not make the conference championship. They would actually still have, incredibly, a 75% chance. So that's actually much better odds than I thought for Michigan. I really felt like with Michigan in a scenario like that where they get beaten and don't make the Big Ten championship, they probably wouldn't be close to being in. But they give them a 75% chance if they only lose one more game the rest of the way. That being, of course, in this scenario, to the Ohio State Buckeyes. If that happens, they would be out of the Big Ten championship, but possibly still in the playoffs by a 75% chance. Now, if Ohio State were to win out and win the conference championship, which would be that scenario, they got a 98% chance. So essentially, if Michigan wins out and Ohio State wins out but beats Michigan, so only loss for Michigan would be that Ohio State game, then according to the playoff predictor, the Big Ten would get two teams, most likely would get two teams in the college football playoff. So keep your eyes and ears tuned in, folks, because those numbers change every week. And again, the thing that has so much impact on it is what happens above you. And based off of what we've seen this season, I mean, chaos could quickly continue to ensue and shocking results could take place. And who knows? Who knows what it looks like in a month for Clemson? Who knows what it looks like for Clemson in 2 weeks? That Pitt game could be huge. Now, one of the things we have not done here today is give you the rundown, or this week is give you the rundown of the games taking place in college football, games inside the top 25 that will take place coming up this week. Friday, Oregon takes on California. That is a 10:30 kickoff on ESPN. So Friday night West Coast football following up Friday night East Coast football. You've also got number 24 San Diego State taking on San Jose State on Friday night. Saturday morning at noon on ABC, the third-ranked Cincinnati Bearcats will take on UCF. Again, Cincinnati favored heavily by 21 points in that game. But any game Cincinnati plays, I just get to thinking, is it going to finally be the week where things come loose for them? Kind of how we've noticed things have happened for the majority of teams from the FCS or the, sorry for the, not the FCS. They're from the Football Bowl subdivision, but they are the group of five. They're the group of five teams. Michigan State, number 10, Michigan State takes on Indiana at 12 o'clock on FS1. Michigan State currently 6-0. You got a top 25 matchup between Oklahoma State, number 12, Cowboys, and the 25th ranked Longhorns of Texas at 12 o'clock on Fox. You've also got Arkansas and Auburn facing off at noon on CBS. Arkansas, of course, ranked 17th. You got 20th ranked Florida taking on LSU. That's one of my favorite SEC matchups. LSU and Florida at noon on ESPN. The 21st ranked Texas A&M Aggies, off of the heels of their huge upset win over Alabama, will take on Missouri at 12 o'clock on the SEC Network. Then a top nearly 10 matchup as number 11 Kentucky in Athens taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. Both of these teams 6-0 in the SEC East, 3:30 on CBS. And, buddy, you want to talk about upsetting the apple cart. What if the Kentucky Wildcats find a way to knock off number 1 Georgia on Saturday, 3:30 on CBS. Number 2 Iowa takes on Purdue. That's on ABC at 3:30 as well. Plus number 19 number 19 BYU versus Baylor at 3:30 on ESPN. Also, the 5th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide takes on Mississippi State at 7 o'clock on ESPN. Could the Tide drop back-to-back games? Could Alabama have a little bit of a hangover, if you will, a little hangover effect from their loss this past Saturday? Number 4, Oklahoma takes on TCU at 7:30 on ABC. Number 13, Ole Miss takes on Tennessee at 7:30 on the SEC Network. And the 22nd ranked NC State Wolfpack, 4-1, taking on Boston College, who is also 4-1, at 7:30 on the ACC Network. And I could tell you, BC would be a great win for Clemson. You gotta have NC State lose twice. That's one where there's a possibility in the final game featuring top 25 teams. Number 18, Arizona State taking on Utah. So that's the weekend slate of top 25 games in the country in college football. And isn't it weird not to say Clemson in that list? And I know they are ranked 25th in one poll, but it has become the norm for Clemson to be ranked inside the top 5 in recent years. And how quickly, I wonder, how quickly will the Tigers rise if things start to go well for them? I mean, if they go out there on the field Saturday and just look the part against Syracuse, just look like the real deal Holyfield, as my man Snoop Dogg once said. If that happens, how quickly can Clemson move back up? And that might be the other thing about the Tigers that people just don't want to admit at this point. But yeah, we've talked to several people that don't believe Clemson's got any chance of getting into the college football playoff, yet I just read you that ESPN's playoff predictor, if you say Clemson wins out and wins the ACC, gives them a 40% chance to get there. 40%, pretty good odds. Pretty good odds. Like, I wish you would come and tell me I have a 40% chance to win the lottery tonight. I would not want you to come tell me there's a 40% chance I might get in a car accident. I'm not going anywhere if that's the case. So I think for everybody that's kind of naysaying Clemson potentially making a run to the college football playoff, pump your brakes. It's too early. And this playoff predictor, and again, you have to have a lot of things happen around you, but you have to have a lot of things happen around you anytime you're trying to make a run towards the playoffs or being in that type of, playing in that type of matchup. You got to have a little luck. You got to have a little fortune. Things got to go your way. But if Clemson's sitting there at a 40% chance to get into the college football playoff, everybody, if they win out, I mean, that's a pretty significant number. And again, I wonder too, because we can't simulate the other teams, like what if you are Pitt's only loss in the Atlantic Coast Conference, and then they play really well, and they look really good. They get in the ACC championship, and you get by Wake Forest, and if they look really good, win all their games except for their matchup against Clemson, and then you start to look the part along the way as you improve and get better and better, would that be enough to begin to sway voters and then ultimately the folks in Grapevine, Texas, to elevate your status to a degree and say, you know what, this is not the same team that we saw struggle the first 5 games of the season. This looks like a completely new ball club. This looks like a completely different ball club. And if that's the case, like if people will judge Clemson based off of how they are playing in that moment and not the totality of the body of work, but to say, man, they are playing so much better, then they could be one of the teams that would just skyrocket past people in the polls. I think Roddy Jones said it best earlier. I mean, you can't tell me there are 25 teams currently better than Clemson in college football. Has Clemson played like a top 25 team? No, probably not. But if they started to look the part, would that not justify them as the part in some respects to some people? Maybe a lot of people. And if that is the case, then as far as the fans go, man, what are you potentially looking at? Is that 40% so far out of bounds? It may not be. It may not be. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. Be a part of the program anytime, any place, anywhere. Always good to catch up with you. Love talking about your Tigers and having fun here on the show that shakes the Southland. And don't forget, you can join us and support us over on our website, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Just $63.17 for 1 year of coverage. Go check it out right now. That's ClemsonSportsTalk.com.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A trio of wrecks on Broad River Road are causing problems. Broad River at Pardee Street, Broad River at St. Andrews, and Broad River at Bakersfield. Also, look out for an accident on Fernandina at St. Andrews. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by JCPenney. The fall mystery sale is here. How much will you save? JCPenney's fall mystery sale is here. Thursday through Sunday. How much will you save? Hurry in store to find out. You could get an extra 30, 40, or even 50% off with Peel and Reveal coupon while supplies last.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. October is Energy Awareness Month, and with the blustery winds of fall beginning to move in, it's a good time to assess your home and make sure you're ready for the season's cooler temperatures. The most cost-effective way to reduce energy waste is to find drafty doors and windows and seal air leaks. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Ready to get your home insanely clean for fall? Zero Res cleans like no other. No harsh chemicals are used and no sticky soapy residue is left behind. Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $119. Plus, when you mention this station, you'll get a hallway clean for free. Schedule online at ZeroResColumbia.com.
Radio advertising can connect your business with holiday shoppers wherever they go. Use iHeart Ad Builder to create an affordable custom radio ad right on your phone. Just click, listen, approve, then hear it on the radio. Create your customized ad today at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
It's the tastiest time of the year. After a year-long hiatus, Restaurant Week Columbia is back. October 14th through the 24th with a delicious lineup of your favorite restaurants offering specialty menu items for both dine-in and carry-out. From brand new restaurants to longtime favorites, there's something for everyone during this 11-day culinary celebration. Learn more, browse menus, and make reservations at restaurantweekcolumbia.com.
By popular demand, Great Southern Homes now lists their coming soon communities online. Whether you're looking for a new home in your hometown, moving to a new town, or just want your pick of choice lots, this is the place to start. Great Southern Homes invites you to put the wow in your new home with options and upgrades. Live green, live smart in your new green smart home. Show your style and personalize your new home with options and upgrades from Great Southern Homes. Find your dream home today, greatsouthernhomes.com.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and Ad.
You can help the Federation Center of the Blind continue its mission of opening more doors to blind South Carolinians. Please call 803-254-3777 or email nfbsc@sc.rr.com. Do it today. Looking for South Carolina's favorite country? You'll find it at 97.5 WCOS.
Back at it on a Wednesday, Clemson Sports Talk. I didn't mean to make this the airing of grievances edition of the program. I know it's not a Festivus here on the show today, but I do want to say this. I mentioned replay earlier. The SEC, not the Securities Exchange Commission. No. The Southeastern Conference. You guys got to come off of this thing where you fine teams for storming the field after ball games. Now, look, I get it. It's one of those things that, for whatever reason, this league decided that they didn't want to have taking place. And Texas A&M, who bum rushed the field at the tune of $100,000, are going to continue to bum rush the field when they beat Alabama. And anybody that beats Alabama, it's going to happen across the league. And there's nothing you can do about it. And in all honesty, all it really does is make a bigger deal out of rushing the field than anything else. I mean, listen, if the fans had to pay it themselves on the way out, they probably wouldn't do it. But if you ask the 100,000 people in attendance if they'd give $1 to do it, they all would give it. You could set up a GoFundMe page today that would pay off that 100K. Nobody cares. It's not a rule that's going to be punishable or enforceable or make anybody not run on the field when they beat one of the top teams in the country. What it might keep them from doing is bum rushing the field on like a late game victory over South Carolina with a field goal late, like something like that, knocking off Vanderbilt with a last-second Hail Mary. People aren't going to rush the field, and I apologize for our Gamecock friends who are peeking over the fence. But again, we're talking about the only way that you rush the field is when you beat a top team in the country. Nobody rushes the field otherwise. Now, you'll say Clemson. That's a gathering at the Paw. It is a controlled, and it is a tradition that has happened for many years after the ball game. And it's a special thing about Clemson because fans can go down on the field and interact with the players after the game. When I was a kid, I can remember going down on the field. I can remember taking my son down on the field. I can remember players giving fans their gloves, tape, who knows what else that they've had on as they're out there playing. And it's a tradition at Clemson. It's something I wouldn't want to see go away, to be honest with you. And I don't consider it rushing the field when Clemson does it. Are there games where Clemson does rush the field? Absolutely. When Clemson knocked off Notre Dame in a rainstorm back in, 2015, that's rushing the field. That's not gathering at the Paw. But for the SEC to continue to find these teams who rush the field, it's just absurd. And because there's no way to stop it. Like, there is nothing that you can do at Texas A&M to stop it. You can't put enough police on the sidelines to enforce it. You can't do anything to stop it. And if the fans are going to rush out on the field, they're going to rush out on the field. So the SEC doesn't really gain anything. I get it, a little bit of coin in their pocket, but there is no great advantage to having some sort of punishment for teams when this takes place. As a matter of fact, I could make the argument that it might actually encourage the occasional rushing of the field in the SEC. It might occasionally make some fans go, oh, you know what? We're going to do this. The kids that are out there that go, oh, well, I'm not worried about the consequence for my actions. I'm just going to do it anyway. And again, they don't have to pay for it. It's going to come out of the athletic department. Who cares? It's not even if it was $1 million, you couldn't keep fans from rushing the field. Now, you might talk about how the universities at that point begin to enforce it, man. Maybe they start putting up like huge 16-foot chain link fences with barbed wire on the top to keep people out. But that's it. At $100,000 with no walls, people are coming over when they beat Alabama. Suck it up, Buttercup. It is what it is. It's fans rushing the field. Get over it. It's college. It's college. These are college kids. Do you know who's playing on the field? Other college students, their contemporaries, the guy that they just worked with on a concrete construction project in a classroom, somebody that they were just working on reciting parts of Macbeth or whatever in an English course. I mean, these are your lab partners. These are, for some of the ladies in the crowd, these are your boyfriends out there on the field. I mean, this is ridiculous that we are finding teams for this still. Get over it. Move on, SEC. This is as tired as replay for me. 803-450-0086. It's Old Man Swan here. Get off my lawn, kids. You Texas A&M Aggies are getting out on my lawn, and that's a $100,000 fine. Old Man Swan, keeping you guys in check. What are we doing, SEC? Here's Michael. He says, why can't the SEC just lay off? Right? Now, look, if you want to talk about the pandemic, if you want to talk about COVID-19 being a reason to keep people apart in a situation like that, okay, I'll buy that for $1. But that's it. Craig says, that's so dumb. Let the folks celebrate. It's not often the fan base gets to celebrate a huge win like that at home. Thank you, Craig. You're all over it, my man. $100,000. B-Ball James says, Swanny, that's pennies to them. Yeah, exactly. Why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? Stop finding these college kids for running out on the field and celebrating after a big victory. Just cut it out. It's college football. These games are played at home. These are students, for the most part, that want to get out there and celebrate. I mean, there are certainly some other fans who jump over the fence, but let me tell you, if you're 30 and up, and maybe if you're 25 and up and you're jumping over the field, I gotta wonder what's going on. Maybe you've had one too many to drink before you went into the stadium. I don't know what's going on with you. But if you're 40 and up and you're bum rushing the field after a victory, I really got to check your priorities. I'm going to need a list. You can just text them to me. 803-450-0086 about your life's priorities and why you would feel compelled to rush the field. But the students absolutely should be able to pour on that field. It shouldn't cost the Texas A&M a dime. Shouldn't cost them a dime. As a matter of fact, Nick Saban ought to write the check. Nick Saban, you ought to write the check for the $100,000 fine just to help out Texas A&M. You know, they earned it. We'll hit a break. Stay with us.
There's a hot new podcast we think you'll like. Variety's Strictly Business. Hear candid conversations about business deals, strategy, and the future of media and entertainment from industry A-listers. Hosted by Variety business editor Cynthia Littleton and co-editor-in-chief Andrew Wallenstein. And once a month, executive editor of music Shirley Halperin will join the conversation to discuss the business of music. Listen to Strictly Business on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey guys, Lawton Swan here. I was hanging out in the backyard with my son Mason a couple of years ago, and he said, Dad, you're the best father ever. When I asked him why, he said, because when I go outside to play, I don't get eaten up by the bugs anymore. Imagine that, me, a hero, when all I did was call my good buddy Trey Powell at Mosquito Joe. With their routine service plan, no more bugs and no more bites. Make yourself the family hero. Call Mosquito Joe today, 803-223-7916. That's 803-223-7916. Outside is fun again.
Hi, it's Gary David. Are you ready to take a shot at finding a new career? FN America, a growing world-class design and manufacturer of the world's most innovative and quality firearms, is looking for you. At FN, you'll be part of a passionate team that takes pride in knowing they're doing their part to save lives and protect our freedom. FN offers outstanding benefits, including an on-site health and wellness center, excellent health plans, profit sharing, and 401k plan for all employees. So start carrying your future today and explore career opportunities at fnamerica.com/careers.
Hi, this is Dan Patrick, and here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by Mercedes-Benz.
You'd think after 7 Super Bowl titles, he would have done it all by now, but Tom Brady continues to find new ways to impress. Brady threw for over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns in the same game for the first time in his career at the tender young age of 44. Brady is PFF's highest-graded quarterback this season and the only player in the NFL with 2 games of 400-plus passing yards. I'm Chris Collinsworth.
They say good things come to those who wait. The 2021 Mercedes-Benz SUV family proves otherwise. It takes no time at all to set up a test drive at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer. Learn more at MBUSA.com.
The free iHeart app has the largest selection of spooky podcasts on the planet to set the mood for Halloween. Open the app, tap podcasts, and tap spooky to find Stephen King's Strawberry Spring, Aaron Mackey's 13 Days of Halloween, Stuff They Don't Want You to Know, the No Sleep podcast, and dozens more. We did all the work. Spooky podcasts, right at your fingertips. iHeartRadio. Discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love all free.
iHeartRadio. Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's sports radio done only the way Fox can do it.
Always something to talk about. There's always controversy. And
You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Clemson Sports Talk on a Wednesday afternoon. Lawton Swan with you again. Always appreciate our guests joining us, especially Roddy Jones today. Tomorrow, we'll catch up with Tim Beret and hopefully Brett Ciancia as well, as we were unable to get up with him this afternoon. Now, Penn State and Iowa, of course, played a huge game over the weekend, and Iowa comes from behind and ends up winning that ball game. And I know it has to frustrate Penn State fans, much like I think Michigan fans with Jim Harbaugh have become and crossed over into the realm of any loss is just a debilitating loss. And of course, James Franklin, with the job that he did at Vanderbilt, the expectations of Penn State have been through the roof. Well, a storyline coming out of that game this past Saturday is that Iowa coach Kurt Ferentz said that while some Penn State players were injured in Saturday's game, had legitimate ailments, he understands why Hawkeye fans booed when other Nittany Lion players went down. Tuesday, Ferentz noted that Penn State quarterback Sean Clifford did not return to the game after leaving early in the second quarter, and that he could see the Nittany Lion players on the bench with an ice bag on his leg. He said, quote, "I hope those guys are well. I don't know what their status is." Quote, "Nobody wants to see anybody get hurt, but I think probably the booing is a reaction to there were a couple of guys that went down for the count. Then they were back in a play or two later. Our fans aren't stupid. They're watching. They know what's going on." And again, this is something that Clemson fans have had to be careful of in recent years. Why? Because your Clemson Tigers from time to time will have an opponent that goes down in a ball game, and you just don't know. Is the guy actually injured? Is he faking an injury to slow down the tempo? Now, you haven't seen all that much of this year, right, from the Clemson standpoint, because the Tiger offense hasn't really had a chance to churn, hasn't had a chance to get rolling along. But I do think that, in college football, this has become sort of a, quote, strategy from some teams in order to slow down offenses that are hitting you with tempo. Also, in the world of college football this week, another thing we talked about on Monday, the quarterback situation out at Oklahoma. Will it be Caleb Williams? Will it be Spencer Rattler? Lincoln Riley was pretty much quiet on it as Oklahoma heads into a matchup with TCU. He said, quote, "We'll see how it goes." So from that standpoint, again, I said earlier in the week, it really felt like when you saw the way Williams played in lieu of or in replacement for Rattler in the Red River Showdown, the Red River rivalry, whatever you want to call this thing, it's hard not to believe that Williams is going to continue to get the call. He has just been better, and the fan base has already booed Rattler on several attempts. Speaking of booing their own player on during several games, I should say, during the college football campaign. So all of that's out there. Riley said there are never any guarantees. You can't predict the future. He said, but I would anticipate having both of those guys for the rest of the season. So a possible dual quarterback scenario out in Norman, Oklahoma. And speaking of Norman, Oklahoma, Gabriel Brownlow Dindy, a kid that we interviewed about 6, 7, 8 months ago on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Gabriel Dindy, the number 5 overall recruit in the ESPN 300, committed to Oklahoma on Tuesday over Texas A&M. He said, quote, "Oklahoma treated me like family. When I first started talking to them, they were like, we're not going to be talking football with you. We're just going to get to know you as a person." He went on to say that drew him towards them. When we talked with Gabriel about his recruitment to Clemson, he really liked the family feel and the atmosphere of Dabo Swinney. Swinney spoke if my memory serves me correctly, in a church when Gabriel Dindy was there. And that was one of the things that he really liked about the Clemson Tigers. But in the end, it came down to Oklahoma and Texas A&M. And ultimately, the Sooners beat out the Aggies for one of the top defensive prospects in the upcoming recruiting class. Again, our website, clemsonsportstalk.com, just $63.17 to support us. That's right, Gamecocks. I said it. $63.17. That's 1 year coverage. Step in, step up, and support. Help us continue to grow if you choose. Now, as for the world of college football and college football recruiting, this year it's certainly become one of the more interesting ones in recent memory because of the fact that we had this COVID year a season ago where players couldn't get to campuses, where players weren't allowed on campus. And now you've had sort of the Band-Aid ripped off, and we've got guys coming into programs left and right. As you follow and continue to read the tea leaves of recruiting, this year to me seems as interesting as any because there is what you might call a bit of a level of uncertainty on that front for a lot of people, because at this point in their careers, a lot of players have already had an opportunity to get a taste of an environment, of a program, of where they want to be. And so I think it is pretty amazing to kind of watch how all of this has unfolded when it comes down to the athletes and their opportunities. Some of these guys have just decided they're going to have a little more patient approach. Now, one final thing sticking with recruiting, and we did not mention this, but Jaleel Skinner, the former tight end out of the upstate, 6'5", 210 pounds, now at IMG Academy down in Bradenton, Florida, committed to Alabama over the weekend. So a big pickup for the Crimson Tide. Skinner, one of the top tight ends in the country, the number one, as a matter of fact, rated tight end in the country, according to 247's composite ratings. Does not stay, as I guess you would call it, in state, as he was at Greer High School previously. Instead, he'll go down and play in T-Town, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, with the Crimson Tide. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. Again, it is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk rolling along with you here on a Wednesday afternoon. If you don't subscribe to our YouTube channel, do us a favor. Head over there right now. Hit that subscribe button. We can't wait to get back to shooting live video for you here on the program. Currently just got the little graphic up, but we're going to be back full force soon enough, shooting the show live each and every day as we hang out with you to talk about your Clemson Tigers and everything else going on in the world of college football. All right, we'll hit a quick break. We'll come back and put a big old bow on the show that shakes the Southland on a Wednesday afternoon. Stay with us.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
When a community grows, its hospital should grow too. And that's just what we're doing at Lexington Medical Center. We recently launched the largest hospital expansion project in South Carolina history. Our new 10-story patient tower will help us take better care of patients, including the tiniest infants who need special attention. It will also make room for the growing number of patients who need surgery and intensive care. At Lexington Medical Center, our mission to serve our community never wavers. We're here when you need us today, and we'll be there when you need us tomorrow.
Listen to Kelvin. What he's about to say could change your life.
I'm 6'2", and I was about 290. I lost weight fast. I trimmed down. Now I'm about 235. I'm probably at about 9, maybe 10% body fat. That's great. I lost probably at least 60 pounds in probably 3.5, 4 months. Color of my hair is coming back. Skin looks better. Obviously gaining muscle. My muscle mass is coming back. Thank you for providing an awesome product. Somebody who actually has and does what they say they will. That's awesome.
That's great, Kelvin. Losing that belly fat in less than 4 months is outstanding. Since 2004, Andro 400 has been changing men's lives, like Kelvin, and can help you lose belly fat, gain energy, and improve your lifestyle. We guarantee it. Go to andro400.com for more true testimonials, before and after photos, and special discounts. Only available on andro400.com. andro400.com.
Let me tell you who I trust to protect my home and my family. Modern Exterminating. Hey, it's Lawton Swan, and when you need top quality service from a team that knows what bugs you, call Modern Exterminating, 765-2315. They're locally owned and offer a full complement of pest elimination services, including complete pest control, termite plans, moisture control, and more. Check out Modern Exterminating online at pestfreesc.com or give them a call today, 765-2315. Modern Exterminating. They know what bugs you.
Fall is here, and so are the Studemeyer Heating and Air rebates. Flex your way to savings on a top-of-the-line Bryant Evolution Extreme with a 10-year parts and labor warranty and get a free air purification system, a $2,000 value. Get up to $500 direct rebate on Bryant Preferred Series gas packs and packaged heat pumps, or up to $2,000 off on split systems. Financing options available, including 12 months same as cash. Go to StudemeierHeating.com to flex your rebates and save money now. That's StudemeierHeating.com.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members, of their families or their children, asking them to deploy, patrol, stay on watch, on point, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to bring them all the way home, to keep them secure, to have their backs for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs do whatever it takes to help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Find out how you can help at findwwp.org.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeart radio station.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Final segment on a Wednesday afternoon. Again, thank you to Roddy Jones. Don't forget tomorrow, Brett Ciancia and Tim Beret will be joining us. Well, and, you know, Tim Beret knows a lot about the history of Clemson Tiger football. There's no questioning that fact. And incredibly, this weekend, early Sunday morning over in London, England, two Clemson Tigers will be facing off, multiple Clemson Tigers, but two in particular, Trevor Lawrence and Christian Wilkins. And, of course, Lawrence's freshman year in Tiger Town was Christian Wilkins' senior year in Tiger Town, and those two went on to be catalysts to Clemson's national championship run. Of course, a 44-6 victory over the Alabama Crimson Tide. And earlier today, Trevor Lawrence was asked about getting to play against his former teammate.
Apparently, Brian Flores lost a bet with Christian Wilkins, so he has to
Oh,
wear
gosh,
some
what's he got?
Clemson gear. So I'm curious, have you talked to Christian at all? And if you can elaborate a little bit on what pressure he brings and the Dolphins' defensive front.
Yeah, Christian, that's my guy. I played with him obviously my freshman year. He's a character. Never met anybody like him. He's different. He's awesome though. One of my favorite people. It sucks playing against him. He's so annoying, but so I'm already ready for that. But Great player. Obviously, went against him in practice my whole freshman year, and it's like him and Cleveland and Austin Bryant and Dexter Lawrence, all these guys in the D-line, just like bullying me as a freshman in practice, hitting the ball in my hand every second. Like that's my memory. But no, Christian's a great guy. I'm really excited to play him. I messaged him in the offseason whenever the schedule came out, and we were talking about playing in London, and he's awesome. You won't meet a better guy, and I'm excited to see him. But yeah, he's definitely annoying on the field. So I'm ready for it.
So there you go. Trevor Lawrence says Christian Wilkins is definitely annoying on the field, but those two will be facing off again on Sunday. And what a unique opportunity. It's funny because I mentioned earlier in the week, I've got the Game Pass or whatever it is for the NFL where you can watch the games after the fact. Well, when I'm signing up or not signing up, but signing in to the account the other day on one of our Rokus, the image, the photo of the guy that's up there was Trevor Lawrence. Like he was like the spokesperson or the poster boy or whatever you want to call it when it came down to that app, which I thought was pretty cool. Again, these two teams facing off at 9:30 a.m. on CBS. So you got to be up bright and early on Sunday, but you'll get a chance to see the Jaguars and Miami playing over at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium over in London, as these two guys will be going heads up, opposite of each other there. Trevor will be taking snaps and Christian will be trying to get him. Will Wilkins get to Trevor? Will Trevor put Wilkins in the spin cycle on a little quarterback keeper at some point along the way? Who knows? But I can tell you this, it will be a lot of fun for everybody tuning in to watch it because I think so many Tiger fans respect both of those two guys. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086, text line, phone line. Again, be a part of the program anytime, any place, anywhere. And, anytime we start talking about the NFL, I go back to my thoughts a couple of days ago, what I said about the league missing out, and Clemson Tiger fans more so missing out on a guy like Trevor Lawrence with the situation that Lawrence is dealing with. I'm just, look, you cannot be dismissive of these charges, and I will not be. Again, I do love living in a world, however, where it is innocent until proven guilty. But man, not having Deshaun Watson in the NFL right now for Tiger fans is a pain. You miss it a lot because he was so fun to watch. And now who knows what his career will look like. One final thing to get to today. 13 typically not a lucky number, not a great number, but today is the 13th year. It's been 13 years since Dabo Swanny was named the interim head coach at Clemson. Here's what Coach Swanny had to say just after getting that job opportunity at Clemson.
We don't have a great hand, but we got a chance. And so we're going all in. And I need these players to be all in. And we'll see what happens.
Well, I think going all in worked out for Clemson. 2 national titles. Still one of the top teams in the country. Certainly having some struggles this year. But if you are a Clemson Tiger fan, seems like lots of positive years continue to be on the horizon. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. Be a part of the program anytime. Would love to have you step up and hang out with us to talk a little college football, talk a little Clemson Tiger football as well. And come over to our websites, man. If you've never been, we'd love for you to check it out. Again, continuing to try to grow it and improve it and bring in more and more awesome content for you, including recruiting interviews and much more. So keep up with that. Keep up with us and everything else going on over on our website, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. I don't know, folks. 2 hours goes by fast. 2 hours in the books. Who would have thought it? Certainly not me. It happens in a blink. Thank you to all our texters. Thank you to everybody who's been a part of the program. And don't forget, you can call us. Like, that's the other thing I think some of you forget. You can call us. Call this number anytime, 803-450-0086. Leave us a text message. That'll get here too. But if you leave us a voice message, we'll play it on the air if we can. Just make sure it's clean. We'll play it on the air. We like to let you know that there are kids listening to the show that shakes the Southland. We got to get out of here. Until tomorrow, as always, y'all take care now. And go Tigers.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive.